The following podcast does contain some mature language, and more importantly, at moments does contain some story spoilers for the main story questline of Final Fantasy XIV. While we do appreciate you listening to this podcast and listening to us share our experiences, we want you to have the best experience possible in the main story questline, and suggest that you complete it up through Shadowbringers before listening to this podcast. With that said, enjoy the show. From the many realms of Eorzea to the distant reaches of the Two Moons via the magic of podcasting, this is episode 0 of A Podcast Reborn, a show celebrating our journey in the past, present, and possible future of Final Fantasy XIV. This episode's being recorded on Saturday, October 30th of 2021. Welcome to all of you listening. My name is Brian Black, otherwise known as Ro, and since this is episode 0, a special welcome to any of you that have listened to my previous podcasts over the years. As those of you who are familiar with me might know, I'm kind of familiar to this whole podcasting thing, especially about video games and MMOs. I used to play a couple of different MMOs, but we'll get to that in a minute. I am super excited to begin this new show, and I am not doing it alone. So without further ado, it's time to introduce my two partners in crime, and yes, you people who play Shadowbringers know what I mean by partners in crime. First off, she is the biggest lover of butterscotch in the entire world. I'll let her explain that for herself. Hi, Meagan.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Meagan. My one and only child is my fur baby, Butterscotch. She is a calico cat that looks just like cat pet in Final Fantasy XIV. I've heard that many times, and so I draw her that way. I used to be half of the Warcraft trolls, which then became Meagan and Wardcraft with my husband Ward. But I haven't been on the podcast scene for many years, so this is my triumphant return.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you part of this. I mean, well before I was playing Final Fantasy XIV, I've been following on Twitter ever since those first days, and just kind of seeing your journeys into Final Fantasy XIV. It would not be an exaggeration for me to say that you might have played a little bit of an influence in my interest in Final Fantasy XIV. Just a little bit.
Oh boy, I didn't know that. That's great.
There is another who is responsible for my interest in Final Fantasy XIV, and he is our other co-host here. He is the youngest old man who will tell you to get off his lawn. Hi, Brandon.
Hello, Ro, and hello, everyone listening. For those we have lost, for those we can yet say, please don't ever forget that a smile better suits a hero. And for as long as you listen to this podcast, remember us. Remember that we once lived.
Oh, wow. For those of you who have not completed the journey through Shadowbringers yet, you'll understand.
What are you waiting for?
Yes.
Yeah, please do, because I'm really bad at forgetting what is and is not a spoiler.
Yeah, right. And I mean, that's definitely something that we're going to have to talk about. So I guess I should explain what the point of this episode 0 is, because this will probably be a little different than some of our regular episodes. And in some ways, this first episode is a way for us to kind of introduce ourselves to you, and to also kind of talk out amongst ourselves exactly what do we want this podcast to be like. It's like, what kind of form do we want it to take? How spoilery is it going to be? How newsy is it going to be? There are Final Fantasy XIV podcasts of all different shapes, sizes, and flavors, and I will not be the first, certainly not the last, to tell you you should check out those other shows too if you have a hankering for Final Fantasy XIV podcasts. We hope to bring you something that is uniquely our own, and part of figuring out what that is going to be this episode here. But first, let's kind of go over a little bit about just who we are and what our history in Final Fantasy XIV is. This game that, for a good number of people, only just became really present in their minds over the last several months. But newsflash, this thing has been around for practically a decade. Meagan, I think If I'm not mistaken, you have played this game longer than both Brandon and I combined.
I started at the end of Heavensward. Like, Heavensward was already out, and then I was there for the launch of Stormblood, and I've been playing ever since. I don't consistently play, and I think even Yoshi P has said, like, if you get bored, go play something else and come back at the end of an expansion, so I've definitely done that a few times. But, yeah, when I first started playing, I was still also raiding in WoW, but then I quit that after Battle for Azeroth, and I've been Final Fantasy XIV full-time from there. And yeah, right now I'm just really into side content. Like, I've not taken a break. I'm just chocobo racing and doing PvP.
There is so much side content. It is insane. I could sidetrack this entire show with how much side content I've been doing over the past few weeks. I could dedicate a whole episode to Casino RP. That's how bad.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
I cannot figure out how to play Mahjong to save my life. Like,
you're not alone.
Like,
you're not alone.
I went to like the tutorial version and it's just like, okay, play the game. And I'm like, what? I'm just like clicking things. I'm like, is this good? I don't know. They're like,
it looks pretty.
Yeah. I really need to find like some YouTube tutorial or something. I feel like it's like looking at a chessboard and just being like, okay, play chess. Like, what do these pieces do? Wait, I can only move this way? What? What are these rules? I don't understand. Like, that's how it feels for me trying to play Mahjong. I don't get it at all. Like,
I feel that way with Triple Triad.
I really like Triple Triad. That's another thing that because I made an alt, so I'm like building up my deck. I'm racing chocobos. I'm like trying to complete all the MGP challenge log stuff in the saucer. It's just really fun because like I have a lot of these rewards already on my main. I play 2 Mikote females, so my alt isn't even another race. Yeah, I just really...
Are they on different data centers?
Yes, they are in different data centers. Me and Ward actually... There was a deal for a little while where if you level an alt on a certain server, you get like a month of free playtime. So we went and did that, and then we've just kept playing them. Right now we're just starting Heavensward on them. But since it's like a bonus XP realm, we're leveling 2 jobs at once, and we're still way over leveled for the MSQ.
Oh wow.
Which means that, like, now I'm trying to get Machinist up to 50 so I can have 3 jobs to level at the same time. But, yeah, we're like, actually reading the quests now that we're at Heavensward. I will apologize for nothing. I can't take Realm Reborn Alphino voice. I can't do it. He's so annoying.
I hear that a lot, and yet Sam Riegel's take on Alphino really doesn't bother me. And I will say this: the current Alphino voice is fine, but I really wouldn't mind Sam Riegel Alphino either. So,
Well, it's also like Alphino is at peak obnoxious in Realm Reborn, so I think I just have negative association. It's like, oh, you became a better character and you got a different voice, and I associate the different voice with a better character. It would have been funny if he'd gotten like a deeper voice when he changed. Would have been like, oh, Alphino, what happened? Puberty? Not yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's still like 17 technically, right?
I think he's 16 or 15. The twins are young. Well, it's very anime. So like everybody is like 14 or 15 in high school, except we're in fantasy world, so nobody goes to high school.
And everybody is a world-saving combatant.
Yes, and power of friendship heals the world, and we gotta go kill God in the light of the crystal. All very Final Fantasy. That's the thing. When people ask me, like, would I like Final Fantasy? I'm like, what is your tolerance for anime bullshit? Because if you have no tolerance for anime bullshit, you will not vibe with Final Fantasy XIV. It is basically anime the video game, except...
I don't know if I'd agree with that.
Well, I would say it's it's anime. It's like shonen anime, the video game, or like youth anime, the video game. Like, there's definitely seedier sides of anime that I don't think the game really falls into. At least not too much. Although I will say it is definitely equal opportunity with its fan service, so that gets 2 thumbs up from me. But yeah, it's like, are you okay with like cat girls? Do cat girls make you cringe? If they do, this might not be the game for you. If you really like cat girls, though, oh boy, I have some good news for you.
And if you are into bunny girls or bunny boys, watch out.
Oh my god, I'm so hyped for bunny boys. I'm just looking forward to like queuing into a raid and it's like all bunny boys and me, the lone cat girl, just like heal me, bunny boys.
I play a Highland here, and I'm definitely not changing.
Yeah, well,
characters, but we don't have to talk about that just yet.
I mean, I had the opportunity to make a Vera for my alt, and I did not. I have an obsession with cats and cat girls and cat boys.
You think?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Well, I always say like Y'shtola is my waifu and Garaha is my husbando. And our children are Rina and Gaia and Alphino and Alize, and Tataru is my Dataru.
Okay, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one before.
I like that one. We may have to steal that.
Whenever she's like crying in a cutscene, I'm like, let me hug my Dataru.
I love when she gets really upset about people spending money unwisely.
Oh yeah, I loved her in Stormblood. I think she was the best thing in Stormblood. It's like I really liked all the Eastern stuff in Stormblood. I think that the stuff back in Eorzea was kind of the weaker link in that expansion, but I don't think any of it's bad. But I really loved seeing Tataru become like a freaking merchant mistress in her little kimono and her new hairstyle and like running things.
Blackmailing pirates.
Oh yeah, it was so great. And like her coming along with her little carbuncle to help me with the God, what were they? They were like primals, but Eastern. It wasn't combi, was it? Shit. Oh, sorry. Am I allowed to swear?
Yes. And I guess, see, this is us discovering what kind of podcast it's going to be. Meagan, let me make this clear. I remember you from your previous podcast.
Good.
I knew what I was getting into, and for those of you listening, expect this to be kind of PG-13ish. There's going to be a few swears here and there. It's not swearing just to be edgy and swearing. It's swearing because it's how some of us just naturally talk.
Yeah. I was doing my best, but it got through.
It's fine.
Yeah, I can't remember what they were. There was like, Suzaku and Byako and like all those guys. Tataru was the one helping you unlock the primals in Stormblood, and I really loved that quest with like the turtle guy and the box that like makes you really old if you look in it. That's the thing, like you try and describe these quests out of context, it's like, what?
I think they're called the auspices, if I get
it
correctly.
I don't know, that whole thing was really fun. And that was, I think, the most into raiding I've ever been in Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
That was when me and Ward were actually in like Ecstatic, and that's why I started playing Bard. Because during that time, we found a group, and they were like, I was originally Summoner, and they were like, oh, we already have a Summoner, but we like you too. Can you like play something else? And like Bard was the second highest job I had, so I switched to that, and I really liked it. I've mained Bard since then, but now I'm gonna go back to Summoner because it's super shiny.
It's going to be very super shiny. In fact, it's one of the few things that we've joked about before recording the show is this is probably going to be a Summoner main show for all three of us. I think we're all excited for Summoner, and it's I don't know, maybe we have a Summoner segment. We'll break down all the latest Summoner tips and tricks and such like that, and decide. Okay, so I'll toss this out randomly here then. Ifrit, Garuda, or Titan?
Carbuncle.
Oh, real? Now you see, I feel like Brandon would almost agree with you.
I love the carbuncles. They're so cute.
Yeah, in the current Summoner design, I have all of my I guess it's pronounced Eggies. I don't know. I'm just
I think it's Eggy.
I kind of hate that just because it sounds so much like egg, but whatever.
Well, don't Google Carbuncle, man.
No,
you have to put Final Fantasy on there.
Yeah, you absolutely need to do that. I have all of mine glamored, but I am absolutely looking forward to the and spoilers if you haven't seen the job action trailer for Summoner yet. I'm looking forward to summoning the Primals in all their ginormous actual summon glory.
Mm-hmm. I am looking forward to just standing in everything because I can't see shit because it's just sparkles all in my face. I'm very excited.
Yep, all those ultimate abilities you dealt with, all the primal trials. Guess what? Be prepared to be summoning them on a 2-minute loop.
I have trouble currently with just Bahamut wings, so I'm like, oh boy. I remember I was doing what's the one the primal on the carrier, the aircraft carrier where people can fall off. And we had our healers were Lalafels, and I kept being like, did the healers fall off? Are the healers dead? But no, they were just under my Bahamut. Because, I'm the summoner. I gotta res people if they died. So I'm like, I don't see them anywhere. Have they died? No. My birds and my dragons are just sitting on their faces, and they're tiny. So yeah, I'm looking forward to also just crushing everybody beneath all of my other summons. It's gonna be great.
I'm super excited for that rework.
I've also just always loved pet classes. Like back in WoW.
Same.
I did a lot of hunter stuff. My favorite thing in WoW for hunters was during Pandaria when you got to go out and actually like physically hunt your pets and like follow the tracks in the ground.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my wife got super good at those, and we spent a lot of time doing those training challenges.
I was so obsessed with this that I got the add-on where you can like add points onto your map, and I literally traced out all the routes that the pets take, and then if I was bored and I had 30 minutes sitting in a queue, I'd just go out and like hunt them, and then if I found one, I'd like whisper other hunters like, "Hey, you need this pet? I'm tracking it right now." So I would hope people get it. I loved that. If they had kept doing stuff like that, I would probably still be playing.
One thing that I think should also become abundantly clear, since Meagan already mentioned that, and previously doing a Warcraft podcast, is I'm also a WoW Fugee, as I've been told is the title for it. I think all three of us are WoW Fugees. Brandon and I, we've been in the same raid guild for, Fert was together for, I want to say, 6 or 7 years, I think, right?
Something like that. I joined the crew during the Siege of Orgrimmar raid. The heck that came? I don't remember anymore.
Well, and that was the first time that Fert really came together with was that whole thing. So that's the end of Mists of Pandaria. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a minute, and it was weird for me, kind of just going through this whole transition of going from WoW to Final Fantasy 14. And I guess one thing that I am going to make clear about my position on Warcraft and this show, and to those of you listening, I think it's going to be clear that there are going to be times that we're going to mention World of Warcraft on this show. My current opinion on WoW is that it's not the game for me. I'm really not going to try to bash it. There are things about it that it just wasn't my game anymore, and that plays a big factor into why I moved away to it. That being said, I still know plenty of people, as many of you who are listening to this show might not even play Final Fantasy XIV and you're playing WoW. I still know plenty of people who play WoW, and it's their thing, and they're going to continue to do so, and that's fine. It's okay for people to agree to disagree. I'm not going to go into tribalism here. If there are times that I critique WoW, sure, but this isn't about Final Fantasy 14 rules, WoW sucks. I think we can all play in the same space just fine. That being said, I would like to remind all of you that are playing WoW right now that there is a free trial for the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy 14 that includes the Heaven's Ward expansion.
Award-winning Heaven's Ward expansion.
See, I need to get that. I need to get the words down, word for word. I still mess that up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely worth trying Final Fantasy if you like WoW, but just be aware that World of Warcraft is like an MMO first, and Final Fantasy is an RPG first.
Yes.
So
that is precisely why I moved.
So I've seen people come over from WoW and be like, oh, they're railroading me and I have to follow this main story quest and I can't just run off and do whatever I want. It's like, yes, it's basically a single player RPG that other people play with you.
Yeah. There is a great YouTube video from another former WoW player, Jesse Cox, which came out several months ago, which kind of explains the whole WoW versus Final Fantasy 14, like how are they different, and he calls WoW an MMORPG and he calls Final Fantasy 14 an RPG MMO. If you haven't seen that YouTube video, highly recommend it. I'll even try to remember to put a link to that video in the notes for the show. It's a great watch. It's a great use of your time if you're curious, like exactly how these two games are similar and yet different, because as much as each MMO might borrow from the other, they are really apples and oranges because of the emphasis that Final Fantasy puts on the story and all of the more casual aspects, I would say, of Endgame, whereas WoW is more, it's all about getting to the end and raiding and high-end PvP and all that, you know?
And do your dailies and get the best gear and get all the currencies. And do you have your reputation up with everybody? Oh, I couldn't do the treadmill anymore. That's mine. That's my, like, I just remember at some point, I think it was near the end of BFA, and like, I hadn't even made it to the end of the current raid tier, but it was like, oh, I'm falling really far behind because I'm like not logging in every day because I don't want to just run around doing all of these things. And I'm like, ugh. And my word was like, I really like this. I really like Final Fantasy because like there's a stopping point. There's only so many things you can do in a week, and like to like progress your character, and like you don't feel the pressure of like, oh, I gotta run another mythic because I might get a better stat proc or whatever. You know, like I need a game that I can get off of sometimes and not get FOMO.
Yeah, there's a lot of optional stuff in FF14, but the thing is, a lot of that optional stuff is just fun to do, and whether it's, you know, hunting for glamour pieces or working on decorating your house, should you be so lucky to have a house, that's that.
I have a house. Ward has a mansion.
Oh wow!
You want to come live in Ward's mansion?
So that's like what the fifth. That's the one that costs like $45 million to buy or something.
Yeah, Ward's obsessed with crafting. I'm not really into crafting. Ward's really into crafting, so he just makes piles of gil. Like I'll just be standing there, and he'll just run up, and he'll just hand me a million gil, and I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Buy yourself something pretty."
Oh, that's awesome. I will be happy if I even get a little 3 million gil house when 6.1 comes along, but that's still a little ways away.
The other game that I play the most is The Sims, so I'm really into like building and designing spaces and doing housing stuff. Word bankrolls me for that, so that's very nice.
Yeah, that's always been my problem with housing. I don't have a very good eye for design, so the best I can handle is a little room in my free company estate. But
I would highly recommend like get The Sims and try it out and build some housing in there, because it's got a really great building system. The Sims 4, the build, like the gameplay is kind of bland, but the building tools are great, and it really helps you get an eye for like layout and color and like all that stuff. Like there are people that just build, they don't really play with the actual gameplay. I'm not one of those. I do actually still play with gameplay, but I will spend 4 hours on a house for my little Sims.
For me, the housing has always just been a case of, okay, I don't know what all's out there because there's no easy preview for everything, and having to pay for all of it. I'm like, well, I really want my house to look like this, but, those items, I either don't know where to purchase them or they're so flippin' expensive, I feel like I can't build the house I really want.
Yeah, so that is a problem.
I kind of just collect whatever I can, just stick it somewhere.
Yeah, especially when you go on the market board and you have this little tiny picture of like what the item is going to look like, and you're like, I don't know. Is this cool? I mean, how big is this? Where is this going to go? But yeah,
go ahead.
One thing you can do is a lot of people just leave their houses open so you can run around and look at them. I know that I leave my house open and I have a little guest book, and like one person has signed my guest book, and I'm like, yes.
My current fascination with housing is one of my side projects is working on getting a tombstone for my house, or not for my house, for my apartment rather. And for those who may not make exactly the connection here, when I say tombstone, I refer to a device that's essentially a cell phone. Like if you do the tombstone emote, it shows you tapping on essentially a cell phone, and that's a kind of a tombstone, I guess, right? There is a tombstone piece of furnishing. I could just go to the market board and buy it for, I think, $160K. But I want to have the ability to buy my own and access it so that I can buy those and put those up on the market board, because I think that's kind of a neat thing. But the funny thing about this tombstone is, in order to have access to it, you need to complete 60 fates in every Shadowbringers region. I'm like, are you serious? That's just one example of some of the wacky endgame things there are there. Like, it's super optional, and in this case, super grindy, but it's not absolutely necessary. And if I don't want to do it that way, then yeah, I could buy it off the market board. But there's so many little weird niche things like that for like house furnishings and stuff where, you could do the work to get it, or you could just buy it off the market board. And I don't know. It's kind of fun when it comes to like aspects of this with endgame to kind of, you really decide just exactly what do you want to do at max level? What do you want your endgame to be? Do you want it to be doing raids and alliances and stuff like that? Cool, great. There's content there for you. Do you want it to be, have the prettiest looking apartment or house or wherever that you can have, then yeah, go for it. If you want to be master at Lord of Vermilion, what's wrong with you? But
if you really love sitting in like an hour-long queue.
Although, come on, Ro, we all know what the true end fantasy is. It's
the true. Yeah. It absolutely is. Brandon, speaking of that, because I feel like Meagan and I have kind of dominated things here. What?
So excited.
I think we're all real excited to do this podcast. But Brandon, what is your background? Like, what is it that got you into 14, and what is it that you mostly do and enjoy?
Well, I've been a long time player of Final Fantasy. I mean, not since the early days. I did play the first game on the old NES, but I never completed it. I got into the series with Final Fantasy VII, and I played all of them up till 10, although I did skip 9. It's one of my gaming shames. I plan on going back and trying it out on another day when I have lots of free time. Who knows when that will be. But honestly, one day I just got really, really bored in Battle for Azeroth, and I decided to give it a try. And the first time I went and gave it a shot, it didn't really stick with me. It wasn't until later, probably in either the last or second to last major patch of Stormblood, that I went in and just gave it a real shot, just stuck with it just to see how the story was. And I absolutely loved it. The first character I made was a male row, because I was, I'm a horde player. So I'm like, ooh, I want to play the monster-ish race. And I didn't have access to Heavensward, so I couldn't make an Al Ra. So Rogan was my best choice, and I made him a summoner because I thought, ooh, this big giant mountain of muscles as a book caster, that sounds utterly hilarious. I'm going to do that. Because I also like playing weird race class combinations. Go figure. Troll mage since the early days of WoW.
Right.
But and I got super into it. I found a free company of a few people who really taught me like how the game worked, how all the systems worked, what was a good, a good sense of the good various methods of progression. And I just absolutely enjoyed myself, got super immersed into the story. And then I did the thing in MMORPGs that I always do. Once I get immersed in the world, I'm like, all right, well, now I need to start giving my character a backstory. And here I am as a giant Hellsguard Rogan with the name Old Man Franks. I'm like, this isn't going to work. So I eventually changed myself into a Highlander healer, and I figured, all right, Old Man can just be a nickname, and Franks, I think, is at least a marginally viable last name for a Highlander, so I'll stick with that. And then I ended up making an alt on another. It wasn't another data center at the time, but they did eventually split them off. I ended up making an Al-Ra male because I thought they were cool. Because by this point, I had actually bought all the expansions, and I made that in an alt as an alt for my other data center for the free company version of the WoW guild I'd been in for a long time, and made that character. Kind of gave him a sort of similar backstory to my old man character in that, he crossed a dimensional portal from Azeroth to Hydaelyn, and this is where he lives now, which was kind of silly, but I ended up liking it a lot. Anyway, so my first free company that I've been in kind of died off in that most of the people stopped logging in. They just weren't around all that much. The officership wasn't really doing anything to promote guild activities or free company activities, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So I transferred to my alt's free company, which was AIE, Alea Yachtest. And then I had my main and an alt in the same data center, in the same server, same free company. Awesome. So, yeah. Then I basically been playing, ever since. And then I did another thing that is going to make Ro go, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oh, no.
I made another alt. Or actually...
what the hell is wrong with you?
Hang on. Let me give you the story here. So I made a bet with myself. I was like, I had those 2 Phantasias on my Al-Ra alt that you get for being like a subscriber for X number of months, and the other one you get for completing the ARR story. And I thought, all right, what am I going to do with these? I don't really want to change my Al-Ra guy because I like his look. I'll make a bet with myself. I'm going to see if I can last an entire month as a cat girl. So I changed
my life.
I changed my Al-Ra Zayla dude to a Keeper of the Moon cat girl with blue skin, purple hair, and just the sassiest expression and voice I could give her. And I fell in love with the character. Just the way she looked, the way her mannerisms were, even the general female specific emotes. I'm like, well,
their girls are the best.
Like, well, shite. Okay. Now I feel like I can't get rid of this character. So when the month's over, I'll change her back, and then I'll just remake this cat girl as yet another character, just to re-experience the story.
Maybe she just keep the cat girl and remake the other one. I mean, she already has your heart.
Well, I took a third option. At the time, I was in danger of losing my job, so I'm like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to be employed for much, where I am much longer. So I'm actually just going to keep the cat. I'm not going to have time to re-level the Al-Ra because I'm going to need to be job hunting. So I changed my Al-Ra's name and gave it a lore-appropriate name for a Keeper of the Moon Makote. And I was like, all right, maybe someday I'll remake that character.
Okay.
But then, of course, what else am I going to do? Oh, that's right. Give her a backstory.
Of course.
So it gets worse. I'm like, all right, well, now I need to tie all their backstories together because that's the third step for me. I make a character, I get immersed in the world, I give my character a backstory, I make alts, I give them backstories, and then I try to give them a shared history.
Well, yeah, because you need to have your Avengers Endgame moment in 2 years.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So I'm like...
all of this is exactly how I operate, and me and Weird will do this together, so most of our characters are couples.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because my main is a Seeker of the Sun Mikote, and his is a Keeper of the Moon Mikote, and so they're like a Romeo and Juliet, opposite clans, and yet their love is so strong. Anyway, so no, I've literally filled up all of Gilgamesh. I have all my character slots taken by alts. I don't level them all, but I have them.
Oh, I wish I could say that wasn't true for me. So naturally, I'm like, all right, well, how do I want their stories to interact? What do I want this group of characters to be like? And I'm thinking, if I really want to make this narratively, complete, I need to have a group of 4 characters. So I'll take my Highlander here. I'll keep my Eorzea guy in the story. Obviously I'm keeping the keeper. What's going to round out this team? What else? Ephemero. So I concocted the backstory even long before I made the character for a female Rogadin Seawolf. And I even split the jobs up among them in my quote unquote canon for who's going to have what, who's going to do which of this.
Everybody has to have a canon job.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then you
absolutely.
can just do whatever otherwise.
So I've actually ended up creating the Seawolf lady because this was around the time that the revamp to the A Realm Reborn questing happened. And I'm like, well, I need to see how that goes. I don't really want to do New Game Plus. What the heck? I'll just press create on this Femro, and lo and behold, she's got 580 jobs now.
Wow!
So I've got 3 characters, all with at minimum 5 or more level 80 jobs. And I've actually done a lot of fanfic writing because there was a contest called FF14 Write 2021 where every day you'd be given a prompt and you had to respond to it by that
Where
day
was that
for an
on?
entire month. Huh?
Where was that?
Mostly Tumblr.
Oh, man, I'm on Tumblr. How did I miss this?
We'll talk after the show.
Okay.
Oh,
But
and
anyway,
thus a new partnership was formed.
Anyway, so that's the story of how I've progressed in my weird obsessiveness with this game's story. I started out playing Summoner and ARR for my Rogadin turned Highlander. I suffered through Heaven's Word and Stormblood as the Stormblood version of Machinist. If you were there, you know how bad that job was at the time. Because I am obsessed with anything technology related in a fantasy game, like the Guild Wars engineer. Yes, that's my jam. I've been clamoring for an engineer class in WoW for ages. So Machinist, I don't care how bad it plays, I was going to do it.
I love Machinist. I love the lore of Machinist. Even if it took a little while to iron it out, I just love that it's literally like, why fight dragon with spear when have gun?
Exactly.
I mean, it sounds logical.
Also, what is it? Aristocracy class is bad.
Yeah.
We're going to bring it all down.
Yeah, it's literally like the common folk can become equal with the aristocracy if have gun.
they not like. We prove useful.
Yeah, it's great. And I really love all the Ishgard story and the class system and the warring factions and everything. It was such an interesting change. I also like, that it's so contained within Ishgard itself for the most part, or at least like all the shenanigans. I still haven't done Dark Knight though. Everybody keeps telling me I need to do those quests, and I still haven't.
You absolutely need to. It is utterly fantastic.
I know. I just really don't like tanking.
I completely understand that. I mean, tanking is not everyone's cup of tea, but the Dark Knight story is absolutely worth it. To be fair, I think most job storylines in this game are worth doing roles you don't like.
Definitely.
With some exceptions. Looking at you, Paladin up to 60. But
yeah, I will never do Paladin. No way.
Wow.
I don't care if it's like good or if it's like, oh, where of that's Paladin and Endwalker. I'm like, cool. Not me though.
It's interesting that you say that because I have an alt.
Took you long enough.
Right, and the alt actually, because we have this little story and level skip thing, which as of the time of this recording, in between now and I think the launch of Endwalker, story skips and level skips are half off. I have it's now currently level 73. I have a level 73 paladin right now. But the thing is, because I got the job skip, I didn't experience those paladin story quest lines, and now hearing you say, oh yeah, the paladin story up to 60 was trash, it's like, well, I guess I didn't miss much.
Well, let me rephrase that. That's the paladin story. The gladiator story is pretty good. The Paladin story from 60 to 70, it's decent. It has some anime trope, tournament arc things that aren't bad, but they're interesting. The problem is the most interesting parts of the Paladin story are the gladiator characters.
Gotcha.
The level 80 story quest features no Paladin characters you meet along the way. It's literally just gladiators.
Mm-hmm.
I would think the worst one that I've done so far has been Monk.
Oh yeah, that's the only one I haven't completed, and I agree with you. At least up to 50, it's kind of.
I'm level 55 right now, and the post 50 has been okay, but the main quest giver is just utterly obnoxious to you. He's constantly insulting your intelligence and being like, "Oh well, if your intelligence was better, you would understand this." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, ugh. And the other guy is an actual monk, and he's also a dick to you. So it's everybody's being mean to me, and we're all just punching stuff, and this is dumb. But yeah, my favorite might be Samurai.
Samurai is definitely pretty good.
You get to go fight a Lalafell weeaboo who bought a samurai sword and is going around doing the trial by night where he just kills somebody with a samurai sword on the road because he heard that was cool.
For anybody who hasn't done those job quests.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I'm not going to tell you how it ends. Oh, was it a mystery that that it's a Lalafell weeaboo doing this? I don't remember. It's been a while. Ward's been doing the quest, and I've been watching him over his shoulder, seeing his little super weeaboo party with all cat girls in kimonos. I'm like, oh, he's too much like me. I hate him.
He must be destroyed.
How dare you reflect back at me?
So I think when I work on this and post and stuff and put in things, I think I'm going to put at the front of this podcast, so those of you listening already heard this at the very beginning, that there might be some minor spoiler stuff here. And one thing that I'm kind of discovering, I've discovered a couple things by listening to the two of you just talk about this stuff. One, man, I'm the noob in the room, because here I am, only with one level 80 job, and I'm working on 2 other jobs making their way to 80. I've been playing this game since April, and I mean, I played a whole lot of the story, but man, you guys have tons of experience on me. Holy heck.
What's your main class?
I am maining summon, and I'm also, I would say, my secondary, man, do I say this? Okay, fine. My secondary job's Red Mage.
Yeah! Look, the Red Mage story is great.
It is. It's fantastic.
You don't understand, for the longest time, for the past 4 months until just recently, I had taken a look at Red Mage, and I got a very rough explanation of how their rotation works, and I was like, screw that sucks. Because when it's explained to you in a video and someone's talking about it, the Red Mage rotation sounds really freaking complicated. But then I actually played it and then realized this is 3 times simpler than Summoner rotation. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say I told you so.
You told me
yes,
so.
I freaking am.
You told me so.
Red Mage is fun because it's nice to do the balance between cast bars and instant cast, whereas Summoner is all cast bars, and Black Mage is really all cast bars.
Isn't it ever?
But yeah, mostly I've been doing. I hate melee, which I've discovered through my ult, which is 2 melee specs because I've never done melee before. I'm doing Dragoon and Monk.
Ooh.
But my main is I have the 3 physical DPS up, which actually Dancer I think is the most fun to play. Machinist is the coolest looking to play. You get to throw robots and stuff at people. And then Bard is I'm used to it with raiding, and so it's simple but not too simple. I don't know. It
gets the job done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I really like Summoner, and I really like Red Mage. Those are my other 2 things that I play. And then, I also have Scholar for healing, because it just gets dragged up. if you do Summoner. But I do actually like doing Scholar for healing, because you get to have like your fairy spells and then your main spells, and then you're doing. But it's also like you have to know the fight to be able to heal with Scholar, because otherwise you're like, everybody just took a big hit. Here, have a shield.
Yeah, across my 3 alts, I've got at least one job of every role at 80, so I feel like I can just slot into whatever a group needs or whatever I feel like playing. There's really, aside from Monk, which again I don't have it at 80, so I don't know what it feels like, and it's also getting something of an Endwalker revamp, not like a feature overhaul.
Why I decided to do Monk for my alt when I saw the revamp that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it sounds a lot more fun. Because right now, Monk is just really slow, and you got to do positionals. And like, I like the animations, and I like the idea of like a hyperactive, spazzy catgirl monk like running around punching people and doing flips and stuff. But like the way it plays right now is not great.
Yeah, my favorite melee at the moment is definitely Ninja. For all the insane button combinations you have to remember to execute their movement spells, I really like the versatility that you can get out of it.
Oh, I am too stupid for Ninja. I cannot. I got that bunny on my head so many times that I was like, "You're making fun of me. I'm not playing this class anymore."
Well, there you go. You could be a cat girl and a bunny girl at the same time.
I do like the like flips and stuff. It looks very cool, and you get to like Naruto run with your little daggers and everything. I'm just like, I'm like switch over to Dancer. It's like I pressed the wrong button. Oh well.
Now don't mistake me. I am not an optimized, do this multi-step opener exactly, or else your damage is going to be garbage. I don't care about any of that. I don't Savage Raid. I don't do EX Trials. I don't really do anything more difficult than a normal mode raid or the expert roulette. So I know for a fact that if someone looked at me and watched me play Ninja, they'd be like, "You are trash at this." but I feel like I know the general basics of how it's supposed to play well enough to get by, and that's good enough for me.
I see. I tried to play it back in like End of Heaven's Ward, so I think they've simplified it since then. So maybe I am not too stupid to play it anymore, but I'm traumatized and I refuse to go back.
I couldn't tell you what the difference is because, like I said, I didn't start playing till the end of Stormblood, and most things I did not play until Endwalker. It wasn't until Endwalker that I got into my whole shtick of, I must have one job of every role on all of my different characters at 80 because that's how they are in my canon, and also I like having that.
I think you meant Shadowbringers, not Endwalker.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Sorry, I'm freaking hyped. I want to talk about Endwalker. But yeah, I just like learning how each of the jobs play, and I feel like it's a good thing for me to just be able to if I feel like playing Warrior that day, I can at least do the general basicness of how this is supposed to work. Can I optimize the opener and make sure I get the exact number of fell cleaves I'm supposed to do in that particular window? No, probably not. I'm going to screw that up. But it's okay because you don't have to be perfectly optimized to do 99% of the content in this game, and it's so freaking nice. Also,
that's why I play Bard for the like fancy content, because it's not that complicated and I can't screw it up. And people are like, "Oh, we need a Bard, or we need the buffs," and I'm like, "I'll help other people."
Yeah, there is also the fact that in a normal mode raid, I'm not playing it if it's not an aiming job because I'm too dumb to play anything with cast bars and not be able to move out of all the terrible effects in time. At least with Machinist, which is what I do 99% of content that is current as, I can move while DPSing and not be dumb half the time.
Oh my god. So when I was maining Bard at the end of Stormblood, I was really into doing extreme primals because I really wanted the doggos for the mounts, and Bard did not have a knockback immunity at the time.
Oh no.
And so there were all these fights where it's like, make sure that you're positioned in this exact spot or use your knockback immunity, and I'm like,
oops.
I flew off so many platforms. And then later,
agent flipping off of them.
Yeah, and then now I was leveling red mage recently, or I was doing red mage raiding recently, the aircraft carrier again, and I literally will not do backflips because I cannot do it and not flip off the freaking platform like every time. And then it's also like I'm always the only reser when it happens, and so I'm just like, I'm sorry, healers.
Again, I find this really entertaining and kind of cool from my perspective, just hearing you guys talk about all this stuff, because I've not had anywhere near the amount of experience you two have had. A couple things that I am picking up as we're just talking about this, and as far as people listening to the show goes, I see a lot of our episodes probably being very similar to this, where it's kind of a stream of consciousness thing. And the thing is, that's totally fine. I mean, here's the thing, right? It's like, some people might wonder, why do I want to do a Final Fantasy podcast? And it's not because I want to be the next State of the Realm or the next Relic Grind or something like that. I just want to have fun talking about the game. And I mean, that's basically what we're doing here right now. So as far as what you can expect to hear here on this show, it's probably going to be a lot of this. I would imagine we're not going to be your key source for Final Fantasy XIV news. I mean, obviously the news is going to affect us and what we do and how we play the game, and we'll bring it up. But I don't think there's going to be a very rigid format for the show, because one thing I'm finding abundantly clear, I cannot pull the reins on both of you at the same time. I give you a topic and you are going to go.
I mean, I think I would hope you knew what you were getting into when you find it out.
No, it's I am enjoying the chaos. I remember the chaos of Warcraft trolls. I mean, I understood very well what I was getting into. As far as you go, what I did not know was necessarily how similar Brandon might be in this regard. And but that's not a bad thing.
Well, I mean, the problem is I generally, as a rule, don't like to interrupt people. I will wait until I sense a lull in the conversation before I jump in. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting the sense that with this trio we've got going on, that I'm going to have to start being more assertive if I want to get my points across.
Be aggressive.
I will
be aggressive.
I will just go. Like, honestly, you can interrupt me. It is fine. My middle name should probably be Tangent. Like,
it's all good.
I prefer that over my actual middle.
If your middle name is Tangent, I think your second middle name, because I have two middle names, I think your second middle name is going to also be Spoiler. And
no.
So
look,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here is how I feel about spoilers on this show. And like I said, very top of the show, I'm probably giving a spoiler warning, so you've already heard that. This show is going to have spoilers, I think, I'm going to say that anything we talk about this show, that there absolutely can and will be spoilers through Shadowbringers. So this is not the kind of show for you if you are entirely new to the Final Fantasy XIV experience. Then I strongly, strongly encourage you to play through the main story questline and come back to us, because I think this is going to be the kind of show where you'll be entertained listening to it even weeks or months after it's been recorded. With Endwalker spoilers, I will
refrain. I swear.
I will do my best. Sometimes I forget.
I think we're just going to have to kind of play that by ear. And so I think it's going to be one of those things where I think we'll record a show, and if there's Endwalker spoilers, I think for the first month we need to not talk about the MSQ, even between the three of us on the show, because
maybe we could do like a spoiler section at the end of the show.
Yeah,
and get it out of our system.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, we, at least as far as Endwalker stuff goes. But yeah, I think you can consider it a safe spot for Endwalker. We will do our absolute best. And remember, at the end of the day, I'm the one who's heading this stuff. So if some serious Endwalker spoiler stuff goes down, and I don't want you guys to necessarily be spoiled by it, I'll just delete it. And the only one who's going to be spoiled is one of the three of us.
Oh no.
I think you'll be fine, though. I have a feeling that... So, I know what my pace is likely going to be for Endwalker. I'm kind of curious about the two of you. How hard and fast are you going to push through the Endwalker MSQ, do you think?
Well, I didn't finish the Shadowbringer MSQ for like a month. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Like, I'm probably going to be way more hyped for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the end of the Highland Zodiac. And here's the weird thing about that, how they call this like the end of the Highland arc, right? It's like, yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of Ascian stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like Hydaelyn and Zodiark are still kind of very much background entities in this whole thing. So it's like, it feels more like when they say the end of the Hydaelyn Zodiark arc, to me, it's more like the end of the Ascian arc more than anything else, you know?
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. Cause
I'm not sure about that, because if anything, 5.3 feels like the Ascian. I feel like Hydaelyn and Zodiark are going to become, especially during most of Endwalker, are going to become much more prominent forces, especially with a certain wisp of a character we see during the latter events of the game's patches for Shadowbringers.
Mm. We can't say the thing. Like, all my favorite characters are spoilers.
So I get the feeling that Hydaelyn and Zodiark are going to become much more prominent forces than any of us are expecting. And I feel like with whatever shenanigans our boy, I don't know if I should even spoil this.
You can say his name, because like they don't announce his name until like the very end of the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure who you're referring to at this point, because I'm talking about Zenos.
Okay, I'm talking about Fandaniel.
Okay, yeah. Whatever shenanigans the two of them are up to, I feel like Hydaelyn and Zodiark are going to get drawn into it more than any of us expect. Because they've said that everything regarding the current storyline is going to be resolved when you complete the MSQ. And anything at 6.1 going forward, brand spanking new story. So I don't know where we're going to go with that. I'm equal parts terrified and excited.
I'm pretty sure that Fandaniel is getting Zenos to build like a giant Zodiark summoning tower out of Garlemald. And like Zenos is like, IDK, or I don't care unless I get to fight my BFF. And Fandaniel's like, you will absolutely get to fight your BFF. All you got to do is put the world in danger. And he's like, cool, I'm down.
There's a term that a certain content creator who shall remain nameless refers to Zenos as, and I love this term. He calls Zenos combat sexual, and I could not agree more.
You also have to understand that in the community I've become a part of just by virtue of having just started writing, fiction about my own character. There are a lot of people who are thirsty for Zenos.
Oh my God.
I don't know what the hell the deal is.
Okay, look, I will explain it to you as a male attracted person. He used to be thick as fuck. We used to think he had a juicy ass, but it turns out that was a lie. Those were his pants. He took off the armor, and he was no longer a thick boy, and a lot of people are still in denial and won't accept that he actually has a flat butt.
Okay.
That's almost something. It's all, man, I feel an episode title coming here just regarding this, the truth about Zenos' pants.
We're setting tones already, are we?
We used to be like, here comes the thick boy with his fucking golf bag.
Fun fact, when we first met him in Stormblood, I thought he was voiced by David Tennant.
God.
He sounded like a muffled David Tennant to me, and I was very disappointed when it wasn't him.
If he was voiced by David Tennant, the thirst would be...
I will agree. I would understand it at that point, even though I hate the whole I'm in love with a psychotic, murderer trope. But I'm like, okay, if you're voiced by David Tennant, I could understand it. But now I don't get it. I just want to kill him. I can't wait for the, whatever dungeon or trial where we finally put him in the goddamn ground.
It's funny you bring up the whole psychotic murderer trope thing, because here's the thing, though. I agree with you that I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm okay with the psychotic murderer trope right now because Final Fantasy's story has gone so long where there wasn't a psychotic murderer, right? Where all the bad guys are like, all the men and women, all the antagonists, they have reasons. They have in-depth reasons. There's a lot of well-developed reasons why they act the way they act. And I mean, it seems weird to say this, but Zenos and Fandaniel are kind of like a breath of fresh air. It's like we're just going to be a couple evil bitches.
No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I am perfectly fine with them as a villain trope. It's the I love the villain part that I can't stand.
But did you not want Eorzea to step on you?
No, I wanted her dead as
well. Then there's just a fundamental divide here.
I don't get villain shipping. I will straight up admit that right now. It's not something that I do. There are plenty of great people to like in this game that aren't complete just evil biatches. Looking at you, Sadu.
Look, man. My official waifu and husbando are a cinnamon roll, and Ishola's. Okay, basically, Ishola is like my platonic ideal of a hot cat girl, and Garaha is my platonic ideal of hot cat boy. And so Ishola is like spicy and like a little bit dommy and like very sassy, and Garaha is like a sweet, innocent cinnamon roll, kind of a derp and incredibly sincere. And it's like, I have very divergent tastes when it comes to the two genders.
and there's the difference. I agree with you about Ishola. Everything there is like, yeah, okay, maybe with the whole step on me thing, I could see it from her, because at the end of the day, she is fundamentally a good person. And, if you end up falling for that, kind of a person, it's like, all right, this is great. Sometimes she steps on me in the bedroom, rest of the time we're saving the world together. This is perfect. Yatsu you? No, she just wants to kill you.
I mean, yeah, she wants to kill you, but it's going to be freaky. Before you go, you'll probably die happy, but you're gonna die.
I'd rather kill her first.
Look, man, I can't explain it. If you weren't into Lady Dimitrescu, if you don't like a lady who is willing to step on you, or is that's her main character trait, I don't know. The internet's really into it. I see the appeal. It's sometimes you're tired of living, and you're like, that'd be a good way to go.
I will admit that my boring here of a character during some role playing of by the way, that's another thing too. That's another thing too about me. In WoW, I didn't do role playing at all. In Final Fantasy 14, I'm role playing like freaking crazy, and I will say that garbage
for RP. Final Fantasy's so great for RP.
Yeah, my boring here Midlander male of a character is for a period of time was super thirsty for a female rogue. So I understand the whole step on me thing all too well.
Sometimes you need a woman you can climb, all right, like a tree.
I mean, I should show you some of my Femrose glams.
Oh boy,
I totally get it.
Here's the thing.
To be fair, her personality is also that of a sweet cinnamon roll. Who, if you anger her, she's going to go full warrior berserker rage on you. But most of the time, she's an absolute sweetheart.
Final Fantasy 14 is just an intrinsically thirsty game. Everybody's thirsty. All the outfits are thirsty. Everybody's sexy as hell. Shit, man. Look, that's the thing. In WoW, when someone was running around in really sexy glam, it was kind of weird. And is it some... you really had to go out of your way to get the sexy stuff. But in Final Fantasy 14, it's everybody, banana hammocks galore. That was the thing I used to say. Is in WoW, I was I want banana hammocks. I can run around in a thong as a female, but I can't have a banana hammock as a man. no, I want them both. And then like when I came over to Final Fantasy and I saw, some giant row man standing around in a freaking gladiator. What is that thing? A little leather
Subligar.
Subligar. There we go. I was like, yes, equal opportunity. Butt shots.
Hashtag butt shots.
Is that our episode title? Hashtag butt shots?
Yeah.
It's literally like you meet everybody and you're like, oh, this could be my new waifu. This could be my new husband. Like, everybody's hot. Like, everyone. Like, you're either hot or you're an old man or an old lady. Those are the two. Those are the two modes.
No, you're either hot, an old man, an old lady, or a Lala film, which you're exempt.
Oh yes,
yeah.
That's right. Oh, I also like that they like literally gave us an option of like, hey, you don't want to be sexy? Okay, fine, we hear you. You could be a little potato person. Like, there's something for everyone.
As someone who goes by the moniker of Old Man Franks, I resist. I resent the implication that you can't be sexy and an old man at the same time.
Well, it's true because the old men are freaking ripped.
I have not done any of this storyline, but I am aware of a Hildebrand storyline.
Yeah, there's a reason that when I was redesigning OMF as a here, or however the hell you pronounce it, is it higher or here?
I say here.
Okay. When I was redesigning him as a Highlander here, and I'm like, all right, I want him to be an old man, but I want him to be a cool looking old man. And then I ended up making a Godbert clone.
Yeah, that Manderville action. Man. All right. So I think that it's been roughly an hour. I think people have gotten a pretty good taste of what to expect from the three of us. So I think we're going to wrap things up pretty much there. Mind you, half the questions I was going to toss to these two was like, what are we looking forward to most in Endwalker right now? And all that stuff. We'll get, yeah. I think that's pretty clear. And here's the thing that makes my job easy for this as kind of like the more or less host or moderator. Man, I don't have to worry too much about coming up with topics for these two to talk about, because if I give them I can say 3 words and they're off to the races, and I just lean back, sit back, and relax with a smile. Expect things to go in some crazy places, but I'm super enjoying this myself just listening to you. I'm so happy that both of you are on board on this. I can't wait to talk more about this. Talk about my adventures in Casino RP, because that's where my game is lately, is Casino RP. You, Brandon, you know where I'm at. You know where I was at with Gil making like a couple weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Guess how much Gil I have right now?
Shoot. I don't remember where you were at the last time I looked, now that I think about it. What are you up to, 40 million?
Pretty close.
Nice.
And I was at like 20 million just a couple weeks ago. Casino RP. My character has just become a high roller, but a high roller who understands the odds of the casino games and plays it to his advantage. And the thing is, these people who run these casinos have not caught on that I know how to play their game. And I'm not doing, here's the thing. It's not like I'm doing a cheat code or anything to exploit their games. I'm not. I just understand how their odds work, and I understand how to win and know when to quit and come out ahead almost every time.
Is it like a free company with a house that you go to and RP that it's a casino?
There's a few different casinos that I'm aware of that are run by different groups and stuff on different servers. Like earlier, just before we hit record, I went to this one on Goblin called Ace's Casino, run by a Makote named A''CE. So I guess it's Ace. So there's that, and there's also like the High Roller Society, and then there's a couple casinos that are part of nightclubs that I'll take my character to. But yeah, it's I go to a few different ones. A lot of them all play this one similar game where it's, if you get lower than 590, you lose. If you get 590 or higher, you win. And if you get 950, you get triple. If you get 999, you get like 7 times or 10 times the payout and stuff like that. And a lot of people play that game and they lose their asses on it. I know how to play it safely and come out ahead almost every time. I'm not going to go into details because I don't want people to learn my secret. Suffice to say, I'm doing pretty well at being at the casino. And it's nice having that guild because then, like, remember I said casino RP? Because then what I'll do is literally, because it's so relatively effortless for me to make that guild, I'll then roleplay with like bartenders and servers and stuff like that, and I'll just toss them chunks of gil at them that are like, for them as players to be like, dude, you just gave me 50,000 gil. I'm like, yeah. It's fine, really, seriously.
Oh my gosh, now I want to come do this. Sounds awesome.
It's fun. It's fun.
What cluster are you on?
I am, so that is the thing. I am at the very last part of Shadowbringers, which is like the very last thing of 5.5.
I mean, like, what server cluster are you on so I can come do this?
Oh,
data center. There we go. Look.
Sorry. I thought you said what quest am I on? No. I am on. So my current main is on Diablos, and I have alts right now on Goblin in AIE with Brandon, and I have another alt on the Aether data center in Genova. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, mine are mostly on Gilgamesh, which is Crystal. I have Crystal and Aether are the two that I play on.
Mm-hmm. I think Gilgamesh is Aether.
Yeah, I think Gilgamesh is like the big RP server. I just haven't.
And there's Balmung is like the big RP server. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, did you see the TOS changes?
Yeah.
In regards to ye old RP.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it doesn't seem that bad.
Look, I'm all for, like, this is a thirsty game.
Yeah.
If you want to get it if you want your cat, girl, boy to get it, like, if you're gonna go do it in like a guild room, excellent. Go sure. Do you have fun. I just think it's so funny that they're basically tacitly being like, yeah, it's fine if you do it, where nobody can see you. Just please stop doing it in the waking sands. Please stop doing it in the middle of the Aetherite Plaza, and also the like, you're not allowed to pretend to hump anyone. I was like, oh my god, was this really a problem?
I will shamefully admit that I know this information through my exploration of RP in Final Fantasy XIV. You two are both familiar with Goldshire in WoW, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yes.
So apparently, the Final Fantasy XIV equivalent is the quicksand in Balmung.
Yes, there it is. The quicksand. That's right. That's what I meant. Not the raking sands. Jesus.
Yep.
Amphilia in my brain. Help me. Yeah, like, but you could just, like, be hanging out in any major city and you'll see, like, a yell of, like, come join our brothel RP. Our free company has a house and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if you really need that gil, honey, go squat on their lap.
Wow.
Hey, this game's for all types and sizes, if that's your thing, more power to you.
I just remember seeing, like, I can't remember if it was on Reddit or a tweet or something, of somebody, like, I accidentally clicked on the wrong guild room, because, like, if your guild has a house, a free company house, you can click on
private chambers.
You can get private chambers.
Yep.
And they come into the chambers and it's like a male Amara sitting on the floor, and then like a Catboy in like full bunny gear set up, just like squatting on his lap.
This is why, if you're going to have sexy fun time in your private room, you change the privacy options and you lock the freaking door. I'm sorry, but when you do the nasty in your offline life, do you leave your door unlocked? I hope not.
Dear Lord, put a scrunchie on the door handle, Jesus. Yeah,
outstanding.
I think, well, I also think that, like, for non-horny RP, Final Fantasy is great. It has all these amazing emotes, it has all these great animations. Like, your characters, I remember back in the day, before WoW started doing it, just like, I click on something and my character looks at it. It was like, such a mind explode. And yeah, you can, like, build your own house and, like, you can have private spaces.
Just private spaces.
Which, you know, you can run a bakery. You don't have to run a brothel.
There's this one cool place that I've been to a couple times now called the Chocolate Spriggan.
Oh, that's so cute.
Okay, so check this out. They sell all these. They have a site with a menu of all different kind of sweet treats and drinks and stuff like that. If you like donate a certain amount, you can become a VIP and you can have a custom sweet or drink named after you and put on the menu. But the cherry on top of this is. This is kind of, I feel like kind of a little bit of a jab at all the nightclubs and the ERP and stuff. The Chocolate Spriggan downstairs has this big area with just pillows and stuff everywhere. And they advertise something called Cuddle RP. It's not ERP at all. It's just literally Cuddle RP. It doesn't go any further than that.
This is literally like, there are Japanese cafes you can go to where you can cuddle with the staff. You can pay to get cuddled. Like, okay, that's a thing.
Then that's exactly what this seems to be.
That's amazing. Oh my god! I also love the glamours. Like, they have literally like a barista glamour with like an apron. The glamours are great for RP. They have all these different, like, you can make a shop with, like, clothes or, like, a garden shop. Or, like, all this really fun stuff. But, yes.
And think about all the stuff that's going to be added for housing in Endwalker.
Oh, boy. Oh, what about the island where you get to, like, grow crops and, like,
I'm really curious as to what the plan is for how much you can customize that.
So, wow, that's, you know...
I know.
That's a lot. That is a lot to talk about.
I know.
And the thing is, that's not even, I think, that Island Sanctuary is not even a thing till 6.1.
But that's right.
It's all right. There's going to be plenty to do until then. But before we go any further, I am going to bring us to an end here right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Obviously, folks, we're going to have plenty to talk about. I don't think you're going to have to worry about us not having stuff to talk about, especially once Endwalker's here. There is a reason why I wanted to start this show a few weeks before Endwalker, because we need to get a lot of this stuff out of our system before Endwalker comes out. And we're still going to have plenty to talk about. So, until our next podcast, and you might be wondering when that is, I think we're going to be aiming for every other week, simply because we could probably be a weekly podcast during Endwalker, and I don't think it's necessarily that we'd have a lack of things to talk about if we went weekly. I'm sure we'd have plenty to talk about. I'm aiming for every other week because I think that's going to be most reasonable with Meagan and Ward's schedule, Brandon, your family, and stuff like that. I don't really have those kind of complications, but I think between the two, you having family, loved ones, and stuff like that, we're relatively casual 14 gamers. I think you can expect 2 episodes a month from us.
I could go every week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
Just, get Yotsuyu in here. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So basically, long story short, I think every other week, if time allows and we're able to do every week, then cool, we'll do every week. But I just want to keep expectations temperate. So like next week, if you don't see a new show, you're like, oh, they're done already. No. I expect a new show from us at the very latest 2 weeks from the time you hear this one.
We're going to be in the Cuddle Cafe.
Yeah, we're gonna. All 3 of us are gonna go for some Cuddle RP. We'll tell you all about it. There's this one character. This one character who is a part of all that. He wears the fat chocobo mask on his head.
Oh my god! Wait, is he like in a banana hammock down below?
No. Okay, so the character's name. I don't want to give the character's name for privacy reasons. The character's name, but the character's name is a male name, but wears a chocobo head and a dress.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. See, I want to just like squeeze a little Wildfell's face. That's all I want.
Right. It's mostly cat girls.
Well, of course. They are the best.
Just so you know.
Just wait till the bunny boys get released.
Oh boy.
Yeah, then everyone's bunny boys.
I'll just roll around on him.
I'll probably make a bunny boy. I'm not going to lie. Until our next episode, Meagan, do you have any shout-outs you want to give? Do you want to let people know where else they can find you? I know you like posting a lot of pictures of your cat.
Yes. Mostly, I'm most active on my Twitter, which is at CatMomMeagan. Meagan. It's the Irish version of Meagan. And it's like 90% pictures of Butterscotch, my cat, who is a calico cat. And then my cat girl, I also kind of modeled after her to be a calico. But you can't really do that in game, so I just draw her that way. But yeah, it's like 90% cat pictures and then like 10% Final Fantasy screenshots. Especially nonsense screenshots. Just really silly shit all the time. But yeah, I have a Tumblr too, but I don't post enough. Obviously, I'm not active enough on there because I didn't know about the other stuff.
Yep. About the Final Fantasy writing contest.
Yeah, man. I can write. I'm literate.
Brandon, how about you? Where can people find you? And I know that you do. I know you do more than just write and have a Twitter.
I do have my Twitter. It's at the BMAT, THEBMATT. Same username on Tumblr. That one is where you'll want to go to if you care about Final Fantasy 14 related writings, screenshots, whatever. I try not to spam too much of that on my Tumblr. My main writing area that it's mostly been dedicated to the Write 2021 entries lately, but I also like just write about what I think about Final Fantasy 14 and my character building and backstory stuff. All of that can be found on my WordPress site, which is yourquestlog.wordpress.com.
I love that blog name.
Nice.
I made it when there was like a writing challenge for like World of Warcraft stuff, and over time when I stopped caring as much about WoW and started transitioning, there's some Star Wars: The Old Republic posts in there too, but they're mostly just the main thing I care about, which is what do my characters, freaking transmog / outfits look like.
Awesome.
But yeah, mostly there or on my Twitter. That's where I'm, most active. If you want to ask me questions like, hey, when are you going to join these two in the RP scene? Which the answer is going to be probably never.
Join us in the cuddle puddle.
Well, folks, you can find me on Twitter at RowWCR. The WCR stands for Warcraft Radio, which I'm still associated with doing things with them. But at RowWCR for me, you can find also I should mention that Brandon and I, if you are into Dungeons and Dragons at all, are part of a podcast called +5 to Hit, where we do a D&D campaign involved in the Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. I'm the DM. He's one of the players. Do check out +5 to Hit if you're into Dungeons & Dragons. As for this show, you can find A Podcast Reborn on Twitter at A Podcast Reborn. I made that super simple. You can email us at apodcastreborn@gmail.com. How about that? I chose a show name that had an easy-to-remember Twitter name and email address.
Oh, yeah, I made an email address. It's just meaganreborn@gmail.com.
Nice!
Yeah.
Okay. Now you need to make the BrandonReborn@gmail.com before I post the show, Brandon.
That just email the show and if it needs to
go through his people.
Yes.
Your people call my people, all pills.
we do have a very awesome theme for our show, and the theme for our show is Alex Moukala's imagined boss theme for Endwalker. Big thanks to him for letting us use it. Do check out his YouTube channel for some more great music. A link to his channel can be found in the notes for this podcast. Of course, that music and any other derivatives of Final Fantasy XIV music you hear on the show belongs to Square Enix. No copyright infringement is intended. We just love talking about Final Fantasy XIV, having fun, and promoting the hell out of it because we are shamelessly big fanboys and fangirls of Final Fantasy XIV. This has been an awesome episode. Get ready and strap in, because if episode 0 is any indication of what we're going to be doing for the next who knows how long, you're in for a wild ride. Meagan, Brandon, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the next show in a couple weeks.
Yeah, this was great.
All right, well then, folks, for Meagan, Brandon, and Butterscotch, this is Brian Black. Until next time, may your loot rolls be high, your glamour fantastic, and your duties always complete.